It's time for
DodgerHeads.
high fly ball into right field. Hey, Dodgers have won it all in 2020. Shohei Ohtani, 50-50 club. Strikes him out. There's a drive. Shohei Ohtani. Freeman hits the ball. She is gone. Birthday party, Los Angeles. Your Dodgers have won the World Series.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to DodgerHeads Unplugged with Scotty G. It's a pleasure to have you in here. Happy Tuesday. Happy Victory Tuesday. I just tweeted out, hope everybody is rested. I hope you got a good night's sleep. If you did not, if you just are, eyelids peeled back, which I am too, I am cooked already. So it is noon hour. If you are avoiding work obligations, again, thank you again. I appreciate you a ton. Thanks for tuning to DodgerHeads Unplugged here. We're going to have a fun show today. We're going to go as long as chat likes. We got a couple things lined up here. Going to give Scott's thoughts. We're going to go through game 3, a little bit about that. And then looking ahead towards tonight, everybody to the tier ones. Thank you. If you're tuning in for the first time, do us a quick favor, like the video, subscribe, do all the things. I've got a special guest backstage here. I'm going to bring him on right now, burning the midnight oil, buddy. So it's going to be a good time here. Let me just fix my banners. We're going to toss this up. Mr. Anthony Witrado, how we doing, buddy? Snoozing.
Oh,
hey,
Scott.
two and one, but we're
Scotty,
snoozing.
how you doing, buddy?
Hey, what's up, man? How we win?
Oh my gosh, that was wild, dude.
Doing all right?
I'm doing well. The byproduct of like all the joy, right, was like we finished our show last night at I think it was like 1:30 Pacific time. So you're hyped up, you're juiced up, watching some highlights, reading some tweets and things like that. And I probably didn't fall asleep till 2:30, and then up at 5:30, 6 o'clock or whatever, whenever the little one starts moving around and making noise and everything. So not a whole lot of sleep, but I would do it all again tonight if it meant that they get another W.
Yeah, I mean, an absolute marathon of a game. It was one where, you look at across the field and you see John Schneider and the moves that he made. And I keep thinking about it. Joel Sherman, shout out to him. He had a great spot on MLB Network a little bit ago. And I really loved what he said. The moves that Schneider made as far as the pinch hits and the moves on that front, Springer getting hurt, he, pulling out Alejandro Kirk for a pinch runner, those moves, that move right there with Kirk takes, probably the last thumper out of your lineup. And then, Barger coming out, same thing. He did whatever he could to play a matchup game, to get a run earlier on in the game. So I understand the moves from that sense, but it's when you get past, regulation time, you get into extra innings here. And that's when the lineup really just took a hit. And I kept looking at that, like, when is Vladdy coming up? When is the top? When are the guys that could, get into one, run into one at this point? And it looked bleak. And the Dodgers started, kept beating themselves over and over and over and over. And you look at the heroics of the bullpen, and then Will Klein is going to be the name, but across the way, Eric Lauer did his thing. And there's so many storylines to break down last night, Anthony. And just the more you look at it, 2 games in 1 last night. And there's a lot of things to love. There's a lot of things to be annoyed about. But for me, the overall sense is, how do they respond? And that's kind of where I'm leading our first thing in here. And how do you see the Dodgers responding today? Because shout out to Sarah Langs, Slang on Sports on Twitter. So in a best of 7 series tied 1-1, the team that wins game 3 has gone on to win the series 70 out of 101 times. So a 69.3% to go on and win. So I'm looking at it again to the numbers. This is the way that the Dodgers can, again, keep the foot on the gas. How do they respond today?
Yeah, I think it starts and ends kind of with Shohei on the mound. If he can give them somewhere between like 16, 19 outs, something like that, then I think they're totally fine. If it's anything below like 15 outs, it's going to be a heavy lift, I think. I think also, and this is asking a lot of these guys, but like getting on Shane Bieber early, like first, second inning, putting up 3-4 runs, something like that. I think that can go a long way. If they can't, which kind of would be understandable, then I think this turns into like just a grinded out kind of game. And for all the joy that we experienced yesterday with the home run, and as crazy as that game was, a loss today evens that series. And then it gets dicey. It gets dicey right now. Like they're in this driver's seat, and both teams are depleted, but on paper they have the pitching advantage. The one interesting caveat though was that Shohei played the game last night, all 18 innings, was on base 9 times. Expended a ton of emotion, a ton of mental energy, all of that stuff. And so, who knows how he's feeling today? Let the guy sleep until like an hour before game time.
Just gonna say, everybody, Shohei's routine, and he needs to sleep 10 hours. So that's to his thing, and I wish I could get that. So he's a world-class athlete, a one of a kind, once in a 10 generation type guy. He setting major league records last night. Times on base. He became the first player in MLB history with 3 multi-homer games in a single postseason. Became the first player in postseason history to reach base 7 times in a single game, and he ended up reaching base 9 times to extend his record. He tied the major league record, so he set the postseason record, but he tied the major league record with reaching base 9 times. The only other players to reach that, Max Carey, Johnny Burnett, and Stan Hack. So we're going back to the 20s, the 30s, and the 40s for those type of records. And we're seeing Shohei continue to do this. And Anthony, just one thing before we move off of Shohei Ohtani, before we get into his pitching era and talk everything that, any thoughts to John Schneider talking about how he's just going to pitch around Shohei possibly the entire rest of the series?
Yeah, it's kind of a punk move. I get it from a baseball strategy standpoint, though. Like, if we were the Dodgers and Shohei was in Toronto, and Dave was like, I'm not letting this guy beat me. I'm just going to keep walking him, and it led to the Dodgers winning the World Series, we wouldn't give a damn. And like, you know what I mean? So it is bad for the sport. Like, I was listening to some stuff this morning that we're talking about, look, for the non-Toronto, non-Dodger fans, like, this is bad for baseball if he does this. And I agree with that. Like, this is your biggest star, and you are essentially not allowing him a stage to perform. But also Schneider's got a job to do, right? He's got games to win. He's got all that stuff. His concern is not the greater good of baseball. His concern is the greater good of his clubhouse and his team. So I understand it from that standpoint, but I will say this: if they continue to do that, I do have confidence that Mookie, Freddie, Teo, those guys that get behind him, if you do that enough times, it's eventually going to really end up hurting you. It didn't last night, and I think if he continues to do it today, that could be a recipe for disaster for Toronto.
Yeah, I keep thinking about and waiting for Mookie Betts to kind of have that. He's just been in this World Series. He's been slumping a bit. We see the meme of sometimes you got to pop up, but he's working counts, and that's something that you always know about Mookie Betts. He's going to go out and work a count. It just comes when action pitch is there. He goes up, and it's just not something that it's whether it's not productive or it's not something that moves the needle. It's just happened just too many times. And that's something that I think Mookie Betts, because he finds himself in that, we've talked a lot about, Anthony, that Mookie Betts is as professional as it gets in the box. He can do damage. He's a new version of himself. But this recent stretch here, it's magnified. And sometimes you've got to make the change. You've got to put something in action. It just can't keep happening where they're going to provide you with an opportunity with Shohei Ohtani on first base, perhaps second base. We'll talk about that steal because I do want to talk about it. Maybe create some action there, make it a little bit easier on Mookie Betts there. Base hit, scores the run, do something like that. But I think that this is something that Mookie Betts can definitely expand upon. And it's just the opportunities for runs are going to be there if they're going to keep putting Shohei Ohtani on first base.
Yeah, totally. And I'm trying to find something where the stats were posted.
You look great, by the way, buddy.
Thank you, sir.
I saw that in chat.
I can't find it, but I did see something where over the course of these playoffs, Mookie has been actually pretty solid when they've walked Ohtani ahead of him. It looks bad last night because he was pretty brutal and all those walks came in succession, right? They walked him 5 times in a row, and Mookie, I think he went 1 for 5 or whatever it was in that time, and had multiple opportunities to kind of end the game. I think him and Freddie did both, and it didn't happen. But I think before last night's game, he had been fine, and mostly the decisions to walk Shohei to get to Mookie had not paid off for the opposing team. So
agreed. Last
night aside, he's been fine. If they decide to do it again, I have confidence that Mookie will eventually make them pay.
Yeah, it's just the opportunities are going to be there. It's got to happen. So far in the World Series, he's 2 for 15 here. Is that correct? Yeah, 2 for 15. How many walks he have in here? 3. So something's got to give. It's not one of those aspects where it's like, it's just the process looks terrible. We talk a lot about process. If the swings looks in a bad spot, it's not like we're watching an Andy Pajes here in the 2-hole. That's as far as it gets from that. He looks good. He looks on time. Results just not there. Quick shout out to everybody in chat. Jacob Brownson, hope your arteries are doing good. He texted me this morning. He told me that Omaha Steak sent him some tomahawks. So hope you cook those things up tonight. Nice. Dodgers Muse, what's up, man? Everybody. Dodgers Nate, I think he tuned in for a bit. All the content creators, appreciate you guys tuning in a ton. Me appreciate it a lot. You guys are the best. You keep the train rolling for us on the outside. Means a lot to us that you're supporting Dodger Blue. Myself here, and Anthony for joining us. We got a couple super chats here real fast. I just want to get these off the top. I guess we can get into this real fast. A couple things here. How bad does Will Smith want to start, and do they let him?
We talked about this last night. Could there be any casualties in terms of the starting lineup today? And our thoughts were Tommy Edman, just because the ankle is hanging on by a thread. So because he has a legitimate replacement in his position, right? They could start Rojas there. And then Smith was my guy. And maybe not keeping him out the whole game, but maybe just not starting him. And you find a spot where Benny Rowe would come up with runners on or something like that, in a leverage spot, and then that's when you go, okay, we're going to call Will's number now, and then he's in for the rest of the game. So I could see something like that happening, just trying to keep him off his feet a little bit longer in the day than as opposed to just putting him right out there. But I have no doubt I'm sure he's telling Dave, put me in.
Let me go. Yeah.
But catching 2 consecutive games with no time off in between them, and then coming back, however many hours later to start another one, that's a huge ask.
Yeah, and I wonder, this is the fatigue of, say, Alejandro Kirk playing straight through, and I know fatigue and all that. There's not like a season-long fatigue bar that that we can just look at, but perhaps that time off he had in September, he wakes up today and he's like, I feel good, Skip. I feel good. That's a part where he had some time off because of the hand. And now it's, that's a factor for me. That's something I thought about, that if he's penciled in the lineup, I'll be like, okay, but it's the 24-hour lineup or 24-hour fatigue where you wake up and you're like, God damn, I am spent. My body doesn't have it in me. I know where I'm at. If I didn't get as much sleep, if I get 10 hours, I'm great. But if I get 3.5, 4 hours and I have to turn it around and get my body ramped up, I'm cooked. So, but as far as that, Will Smith not having as much miles on his legs and, towards the back half of the year, that matters at a certain critical point. That injury, helped him in itself, that the mileage meter is not getting up there. So if he wakes up today, Dave Roberts, they're in contact there, and he says, I'm good to go. I won't be surprised one bit, but I do like what you said about if there's ever a time for Benny Rowe to get a start, if he comes in for, 4 innings and then it's handed off, and then that's Will Smith the rest of the way, rest of the series there. That's the spot where you find a start for Benny Rortvedt. Yeah,
if there ever was going to be one, it would be today.
It'd be right now. Otherwise, not at all.
But I would not be surprised if Will's in there and he sucks it up. Slept in today and he's ready to go.
So this is another one. This super chat plays right into it here. Emar, what's up, man? I appreciate this super chat here. He says, how are we feeling about Andy Pages? Should Alex Call replace him? Before I turn it over to you, buddy, yesterday on our show, the chat convinced me for one more day of Andy Pages, just based on that the overwhelming splits, home and road splits for Andy Pages were so overwhelming for him at Dodger Stadium. I said, okay, I'll give him one more day. I like the pitching matchup out there. If he can run into one, Max Scherzer is going to try to spin him to death. If he can run into a slider, fine. So I gave him one more day. And you know what he did with 2 full baseball games in a day, Ant? Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. So
he kind of got one game off, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, I forgot what inning he came out in, but Alex Call got some decent playing time there. So
he did. Alex Call, decent playing time there. So what do you do with Andy Pages, man?
Yeah, look, before game 2, I was on board with sitting him. He showed a little something in game 2 with some of the contact he made that, okay, maybe he's seen it a little bit better. But then that didn't carry over in game 3. So then Alex Call goes in, and Alex Call didn't look great either. Now, it's a hard position to be in, right? You come in, you're cold, you're pitch hitting, and then you're thrust into a whole bunch of leverage spots, and
work a 2-0, and you take him 1.5, and it's just
that's the inexcusable one. Like that's an Andy Pages at bat.
Yeah,
we're looking for Alex Call to at least give us more competitive plate appearances. You get up 2-0 in that spot there, and you do that. That doesn't look so great. With that said, I'm back on board of like, give Pages at least a game. Let him sit. Yeah, and I'm fine with playing Alex Call. Like I'm fine with that. If I think the other situation too is if Edman does get a day off today and say Rojas plays second, then I think you put Call in left, you put Kike in center, and then you have a possibility now later in the game when a situation might merit it that either Edman can come in and play center or Pages can come in and play center. And, and you get their bat in the lineup, that kind of thing. So I think it gives them some optionality there on a day when like everyone is probably gassed. So I think there's some options here for Dave. I would not mind seeing Call in the starting lineup.
Yeah. People no, guys, we're saying, we're on the, if they sit Andy Pages down thing, this is the way that we're looking at. That's how it is. Look, Andy Pages has had an extensive runway all postseason to do this. He had a very long at bat yesterday where I was like, okay, if you turn this into a positive, that's where you see that long AB, you grind a pitcher down and you have a plus result there. And I think he popped out. In the infield, and I was like, God, come on, man. Like, one time, please. Bang a base hit, like a tailor-made Andy Pages line drive. Like he had a solid one, right? But it's like, it's not enough. It just feels not enough. It feels right now that it's not enough. So,
and he's not, there's no, and this is why, like game 2, I was like, oh, well, maybe there's a little light that he can see and he's starting to go down the right path now. And then we saw what he did yesterday. And it's just like, it just feels like there's nothing to grab onto that says like, there's something good is building here. Like he looks like he's getting better. Like with Freddie, you could start to see it, right? With
that was
Shohei,
me after game 2.
With Shohei, you started to see it as well. It's absent with Pages. Like there's nothing there that says like, oh, I could see that this could start to break here pretty soon. Like everything looks bad.
Yeah, we talk about big time again. Yeah, great thing here. I got to pull the super chat down. It's so far up. We got a good one here. I got one of my buddies, Oscar, I play baseball with. We talk about, ball all the time and having more than one club in the bag. Andy Pages has one club in the bag right now, and his swing to get to that contact point is completely out of whack. So he's battling a few things right now as far as pitch selection. So yeah, man, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Alex Call go out there, give yourself a quality at bat, because that's what you're going to get. He did that against Christopher Sanchez. It's someone who's going to go up there and not just waste an at bat. If the result isn't there, at least he's going up there saying my selectiveness on pitches is going to be something I can hang my hat on. And that's something that with Alex Call, you're going to get. So I'm fine putting him in there. I'm definitely okay doing it. Kike Hernandez in center field is one where I think they haven't done it yet. And they haven't done it yet. And I don't know how much the front office, but I trust them to figure that out. But Andy Pages, that one more day exhausted itself yesterday here. One more super chat
And
here.
he had the opportunity. Like, I wasn't surprised that he was in for game 3, because for game 2, he had the hard hit balls, and it was like, okay, maybe he's finding the barrel again, and he's on the verge. And then it just completely disappeared in game 3.
No momentum.
None.
Talking about momentum. There's no building, no building on one at bat to the next. We'll say it there, so I don't wake Blake up, with that word momentum. Just rock him. Or he said, yeah, our arm fit says, back after work on 2 hours of sleep. God. Now I'm going to sleep until the game starts. First year watching baseball from the UK, and I can't stop. Will Smith benched. We just touched on that there. It's just more fatigue factor. If he's in there, we won't be surprised because he's a gamer, and I believe he had some solid time off at the end of the year. But if you just want to give him, say, 4 innings and then just have Dave Roberts insert him into a spot where the offense makes sense there, it's a thing of beauty, because we saw that work out in earlier series in this, the DS and the CS, where he was lower in the order, and that provided them with some thump there, and kind of we've got Will Smith to deal with in the bottom of this order now. And it's not just, guys that we can, mix and match here, and that won't play itself too bad either. So I won't be surprised. Peyton, big time super chat. Thank you for this one here. $50 says, I've heard talk about changing the intentional walks to forcing pitchers to humiliate themselves by throwing 4 intentional outside balls. Oh, going back to the old way, eh? I think there's a compromise of limiting intentional walks to 3 per game, adding on additional level of strategy. I appreciate this one. I appreciate the super chat. I can't disagree more. I think that's just an extra layer to the game that the game doesn't need, and policing the game and including one thing on there. And I saw Mike Petriello talking about like limiting the game stars and stuff like that. And that's just baseball. That's just how it is. Yeah, that's why you have 9 guys in a starting lineup, that if you don't want one to beat you, then somebody else has to. So I don't want to limit anything like that. I know, guy, you have to pitch to them, but you have to pitch to players in a certain scenario that matches up with it. That's how I see it.
Yeah, I kind of agree here. And this almost never comes up as an issue, because no one ever does this. We saw it last night because the guy is on an all-time kind of heater, and Schneider was like, this is an 18-inning game. Like, I'm not going to let you. You are the one guy that in those moments that you felt like could end the game in one swing. Smith tried to do it. Teo tried to do it. Freddie tried to do it a couple of times, and they all fell short. And at that point, you're like, well, if it was Shohei swinging and he got that pitch and hit it, that ball's gone and this game is over and we're down in the series. Freddie ultimately got him. But like, I understand the logic from Schneider there. We talked about this earlier. Like, it's bad for baseball that its biggest star doesn't get to perform, for 4 hours. But this is typically not ever a problem. And so, like, I think we're creating a solution for a problem that's existed one time in like the last 25 years.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's one of those where it's like you see these hitters and Barry Bonds type stuff, and you're like, all right, they're on just an absolute heater. It's probably one that they wished Corey Seager got intentionally walked in 2020 a bunch. They wouldn't have to deal with him. So I think it's these moments where it gets exclamation points, and it's those rare instances, like you said, players on an absolute heater.
Yeah, for sure. And I think too, like we mentioned earlier, I think last night was sort of an anomaly where they could not cash him in. But you keep doing this, and eventually it's going to work itself out where managers won't keep doing it that way, because it's going to eventually hurt them.
Yeah, 100% here. This is one of my buddies, Tyler. He's a sad Brewers fan. He says, show. Yeah. Hey, what's up, buddy? I appreciate the super chat. Yeah, thanks for the donation, Ty. Love you, man. Look, show. This, umpiring has been all right. Home plate umpiring is a different story. There have been some weird zone instances, Alejandro Kirk stealing strikes that aren't even close to strikes, stuff like that. But as far as like plays at bases and stuff like that, they've been fairly good. They've been solid on that front. The replay room has been great. I wonder why we can't have that same type of replay room during the regular season, because that makes you pull your hair out. But other than that, I mean, yesterday, Ant, there were a lot of plays where it was either getting thrown out by a mile, having to make a perfect throw, a perfect relay, perfect tag. That was baseball at its finest. That's why last night in the postgame, really talking about the 18-inning marathon and how many elements of the game there were. It was, ball down the right field line. Schneider, the pinch runner running around for Alejandro Kirk. play at the plate. That's a move that I would have made myself. You have to make a perfect play on the ball, perfect throw to Edman, perfect relay to home, perfect catch, perfect tag. All those things had to happen. So it's just those happen multiple times. Tommy Edmonds playing short right field, and ball off Freddie Freeman's glove, slides out there, turns and guns it. It's just so many like that one's going to get lost in the shuffle after his boot earlier in the game. So it's all these things. And yeah, man, do you have one that stands out to you?
Yeah. The one, like, speaking of replays, I thought the Dodgers got that double play. I forgot, was it Sheehan who was pitching? I forget, but slow, not a hard hit ball to Mookie, and him and I think Rojas turned it.
Oh, to flip? Yeah.
I on the replay, I thought they got him, but call was not overturned.
So I looked, you could see it hit glove and glance at the foot and see it for like the slightest second.
And the impact of the bag, right? Because his foot hits the bag, and then the bag kind of, when it's in super slow-mo, you see the bag kind of like pop up.
I thought they had something
until it hits the glove. Either way.
Yeah.
I thought he was safe. I thought he was out. But the one play that stood out to me was the Vlad play that when he threw Teo out at third. Now,
that was an insane play.
We jumped, and I did too initially. Everybody jumped all over Teo for a bad decision. I watched it about 12 more times after the game last night, and I even looked at it this morning, and then I saw some people talking about it on the YouTubes. That was not a bad decision by Teo.
No, I didn't think it was at all. I love the aggressiveness.
Yeah, and I it was actually a pretty smart baseball play. It took an all universe kind of play from an all universe kind of player. And if that throw's not a 10 out of 10, if it's a 9 out of 10, Teoscar's safe.
It was bang, bang. It was a bang, bang
still
play.
Bang, bang. It was a 10 out of 10 throw. Yes. And it was still bang, bang. And I don't know what the StatCast number, if there was a StatCast number on that throw, but that thing was an absolute seed to third.
It was a beam. Yeah.
That must have been a high 90s throw by Vladimir, because, it was on them, and it was on the money too. Like I said, a 10 out of 10 throw. That play stands out for sure, because I thought we jumped on the wrong guy for making a mistake when it was just the other guy made a better play than he did.
Yeah. BC says this here. Vlad scored on a single, down a damn single. Freddie couldn't score from second base. All right. Okay. Let's look, BC. Let's break this down. First off, Vlad, that was a shifted outfield toward the left side there. And that was a relay or a toss home that he's working his way to his left-hand side. So glove side there, he's got to flip himself, throws offline, and Vlad gets a jump. The difference on the Freddie one is you hit that to a right fielder that's got an absolute hose in right field, who had like 9 outfield assists in the regular season, and Dino Ebel probably can't even see the outfielders anymore. It was a terrible send start to finish. So BC, man, like, I hope this was tongue in cheek, but there's some big differences there.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, that was a bad one. All right. Let's talk Shohei, man, because we're getting into a spot where, leading into it, the 18 inning fatigue factor, and Shohei having a factor in a piece of all of it, and kind of, tweaking something on a slide down there or running to second base earlier in the game, where that was like where you hold your breath and you're like, no chance. This alters a lot. Yeah. Is that still having some lingering effect in his game? Is being out there for the entire game having some effect on this? And him, I know he had some, playful thing in the post game. And nobody saw Doc's speech in the clubhouse following Game 3. Shohei looked like he was ready to pitch in Game 4 tonight. But what type of stuff are you expecting from Shohei Ohtani on the mound today, with taking into account the leg? If there's possibly something there, if there's nothing, then shake me off on that. But what do you expect from Shohei Ohtani tonight in his first World Series start?
Yeah, I think the leg thing ended up being some cramping. Yeah. And they said after that, I think that happened in like the 11th inning, something like that. Mm-hmm. And they said that in each time he went back into the dugout, he was going straight down he was going down the tunnel and hydrating and doing whatever he needed to do, stretching, whatever. Sure. So he was doing that basically for the rest of the game. And there was a funny nugget that one of the times because he was doing it he was basically staying in the dugout until he needed to come back out.
Smart.
And yeah, totally. And he came back out one time and he had on the batting practice cap, the cursive D hat, and not the LA hat. And someone goes, "Oh, bro, you put the wrong hat on." And he was like, "Oh." He turned around and went and got the right hat. So just a funny piece from that. So I think he should be okay. Got him hydrated and everything like that. Hopefully he got a ton of sleep. Hopefully it's 12:30 Pacific. Hopefully he's still asleep right now.
I agree.
So, I think for him though, like I said earlier, like this today starts and ends, I think, with what his performance looks like on the mound. If they decide to walk him, cool. If he goes 0 for 4, but he can give you 6 1/3 shutout or something like that, sign me up for that right now. I'll take that. Because considering what both bullpens look like, if he can get them deep into a game and keep either leave with the lead, leave with the tide, something like that, then I think they're in really good shape, not just for this game, but for this series. Because on paper, they have massive starting pitching advantages now. It's just a matter of like, how much did last night's game impact today Shohei Ohtani, the pitcher?
Yeah. Mike says here real fast, why do audio camera people have to affect the game? I think are you speaking to
the ball that hit the guy? Yeah. I mean, it didn't really have much of an impact. Like,
yeah.
I
down the right field line. Was that right?
Yeah. Yeah. That one.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to get that one out of the way, Mike, before anybody tried to answer that for you there. It's just one of those moments. It's like when in NFL, you see the camera wire. It's like, what are you going to do? They're not going to do anything about it. Yeah, I mean, Shohei Ohtani today, I'm purely looking at like his stuff on the mound here. His last time out against the Milwaukee Brewers, he goes 6-10 punch, has an all-world game. Greatest postseason performance ever from a player. 3 homers, stuff like that, man. So it's just a matter of how fast can his body respond. I have no problem with him at the plate. I have no issue with him at the plate. The fatigue won't come on that sense. His eye is at a level that where you're looking for Shohei Ohtani to take over, to do that type of thing, that's where he's going to be at the plate. The eye is there. The eye is back. The matchup dependent stuff that, the Brewers relied on, the Phillies relied on, where it's hard, like lefties, from that sense where it's big sinker that's going to barrel in on the hand, sweeper away, stuff like that. He's not in that blender right now whatsoever. He looks comfortable in the box. You brought this up to me many times, Tex, in that he's not that front half's not diving out to first base right now. So from an offensive standpoint, Shohei is going to go up there at bat 1, and Schneider's already going to be thinking about, do I just put this guy on? Like, what do I do with this? And that's why you lead him off. You don't change anything. People joke about, that's why I see Brian Kenny always talking about, they're not utilizing their weapons as good as they could. Move Shohei down to the cleanup spot. That's why you keep him there. So now you got to worry about him, and he gets the most ABs. From the mound, Shohei Ohtani is going to go out here, and I expect him to do the same type of thing. He's going to pound the zone. He's going to overwhelm the Blue Jays with stuff in the zone. And the fact that he's got enough weapons that he feels comfortable with, the curveball's there, splitter. That's the thing that the Blue Jays have done really well, is hit the split. But he's got a lot of different weapons, Ant. His curveball, he's made a big comeback with that, and that's something that he can lean on. 19 whiffs versus the Brewers. If he goes out and just fills up the zone, and you're able to say, like you said, put up a few on Shane Bieber early on, which in his last few outings he's done. His last 3 postseason outings, he's allowed 2 earned runs. In his final one against the Mariners, he only went 3 2/3, allowed 7 hits. And I know that's where fatigue sets in, but this is a guy coming back from Tommy John. And now you've got to find a way to be perfect against the Dodgers, who are going to hopefully grind you out.
Right. On Shohei's side of things, I think that pitch that he hit out to tie the game in the 7th, when he hit the ball, his front shoulder was closed. We have seen him throughout the series, throughout the Brewers series. That same pitch, when he makes contact with it, his front shoulder is out toward first base.
Yep.
Last night it was looking at second base when he got that swing into the zone. When he does that, and because obviously he has the power to hit the ball out the other way. I mean, this guy hits inside fastballs out to that side of second base.
Yes.
When he's doing that, it's pick your poison on what you know. It's just a matter of it's not even can you keep him off base. It's just can you keep him in the park. And so
I don't think they're establishing the inner half against him. They're not doing that with the lefties.
They are so afraid of it. Yeah, because I think they saw what he did in that last game against the Brewers, and they've seen what he's done on inside pitches to them so far through 3 games. And so, they're terrified, and rightfully so. The guy is mashing everything right now. And so, if he can keep that, I'm not worried about his offense at all. Again, I think the arsenal that he has, if he's got some things working, he can flummox the Blue Jays the same way Yamamoto did. One time through the lineup, he's featuring a four-seamer, and he's working off of that pitch.
Yeah,
he gets into the second time through that lineup, and it went from, I wanted to say, I'm trying to think of this off the top of my head. He threw that four-seamer, Yamamoto did, like something like between like 33-35% of the time in the first time through the order. The second time and the third time through the order, he was throwing it like single-digit percentage. He totally flipped his arsenal on its head and was giving them a completely different look. And I think it really kept them off balance. And so Shohei's got the same kind of ability. He's got the same stuff in his back pocket. He can, the first time through the lineup, he can feature one thing, and then the second time he can go to something different. And I think if he's able to do that, keep them a little bit off balance that way, maybe have an efficient inning or two here or there, he gets them through 6, and then he's maybe even more. And then the bullpen is counting outs there, and they're just, they're hoping that, they can get, 6, 7, maybe 8 at the most, hopefully. And then that game becomes very workable for the pitching staff.
Yeah. And looking at his usage, to righties and lefties, Shohei Ohtani is going to have, kind of his entire bag here. And that's what I love so much about him here. He's going to be against lefties. He's going to be hammering fastballs there. And he's a little bit more liberal with his usage of the rest of his pitches there, sweeper, slider, curveball. And then, if he wants to do the sink on the runner going away, but I would just eliminate that and just go cutter in against lefties there if you're going to have a second fastball variation. But against righties, you're going to see a lot of just four-seam fastball and sweeper, mix in a slider there, toss in a sinker in on the hands, but you got to make sure you can command it. And I think that with the four-seam fastball and how they've kind of kept Vlad at bay for the most part here, he's still a force. And Vlad in a count leverage here in his favor, you see him just keyhole one, and there he's lucky that just I forgot who that was against, but he got a fastball down and he just hammered it back up the middle. And it was like I looked at my buddy sitting next to me and I was like, we're lucky that wasn't a tape measure shot if he just gets barrel underneath that. So I mean, with Shohei Ohtani today, it's just, I think the key against the righties is just really make sure you're hitting your up and in quadrant with your four-seam fastball there. Really force them to have to like cheat on that fastball in there. These guys will go out there. Alejandro Kirk can do it. Vladdy can do it, and just basically one hand the barrel on stuff down away. You've got to make sure you're establishing that inner half. And I'll repeatedly say it again. You've got to force them to respect that inner half so that sweeper is going to be able to miss the fat part of the barrel. You're going to keep them off balance. I expect an amped up Shohei Ohtani once again. I think when him playing well offensively there, he's not having to search for something on that side. This is a confident Shohei Ohtani, and it's a unique thing. And going without saying, he's a unique player, but it's a unique mentality that he's going so well offensively. He doesn't have to sit and go back on the bench and look through his notes offensively to how to get that, get back right. Now he's feeling good there. Now he can dedicate all his stuff and have that moxie and that confidence to go out there and just go execute, go help yourself out offensively, go execute on the mound there. I'm expecting incredible stuff from Shohei Ohtani tonight. And that's just not being biased. I just have that confidence in him with having the confidence on his stuff offensively too.
If he does what he did last night, and then he comes in today and he shoves and they win that game, we will never, ever need to have another conversation about who the best baseball player that's ever lived is for before. And I want to say probably going forward too. Start designing the statue, pick a pose and start designing it. Cause the day he's done in a Dodger uniform, that thing should go up.
Oh, it's all-timer stuff. There's nobody that's going to come close. He's reached base safely in 10 consecutive plate appearances, the longest streak in World Series history. The only longer streak at any point in a single postseason was Max Muncy last year. And this is a guy that's not doing it just by taking walks. He's hitting moonshots. He's hitting extra base hits. He had 4 extra base hits yesterday, Anthony. And then Schneider just said, I'm good. Put him on. I mean, like, it's just that's the type of stuff we're talking about, and that's the type of stuff we're talking about. You're looking at, yeah.
I just saw this stat for you. Last year, World Series, Aaron Judge reached base 9 times in 5 games, the whole series. Ohtani reached base 9 times in Game 3.
There's no question about who's the undoubted. I think if there was one overall MVP, it's just not even close. He's on how many MVPs does Shohei have right now? 3?
I want to say this will be 4.
This will be 4. He's on track to have 7, 8.
He's not
MVPs.
slowing down. Yeah.
No, he's not. Like, not even close. Like, I think he's back on the mound, Anthony, and he's got that feeling, and you see him out there. That's why I referenced the clubhouse video where he looked like a kid, and they're just like, we got Shohei on the mound, and he had a big old grin, and he went into his pitching windup, and it's just, I feel like that's who he is. He wants to be the two-way GOAT. Like, he wants to be the two-way player. That's what keeps him going. We saw the historic stuff, just being an offensive player as a DH and win an MVP that way, but being a two-way star and being the best two-way player and the best athlete to ever play a game, that's what keeps him ticking, and being able to go out on the mound there, that's what makes him whole. And we're just seeing what Shohei is in his prime. You're looking at 7 MVPs, maybe more, man, and it's just going to be there will be nobody that'll touch that ever again.
And I think you're right with that number. Like, I think it's a good bet, because even if he starts to decline a bit offensively, as long as if he's still pitching at a top front line kind of starter, and he's giving you, like, let's say this right now, he's hitting as the second best guy to do it on the planet, and he's pitching like a top 5 to 7 guy on the planet. Okay, if there's a little decline there, and let's just say, okay, well, he's just hitting at an all-star level in 4 years, and he's pitching just at an all-star level in 4 years. That guy's the MVP of baseball still.
Yep.
He's doing it on both sides at that level.
100%. Yeah, no, it's not even close. Before we hop in, just my last thing I want to talk to you about here. I want to get your thoughts on, how they approach Game 4 from it. I know with bullpen usage, I hope is in a spot where they don't have to use it too much. If Shohei goes max effort 6, say he's able to give you 7, then it makes everything easy on him. With the usage that the Dodgers had in Game 3 here, your mind is fresher than myself while I pull up my tab here for the pitchers, like the usage charts here. Let's say best case, he goes 7, but let's be slightly conservative in that and say 6, and he goes max effort 6 and gives you that. Mm-hmm. Bridge me the gap to the 27 ounce.
Yeah, what's that look like? So then they need to cover 9, right?
7, 8, 9.
I think you're looking at some combination of Blake Trinan, trying to think of which guys did not throw a ton last night.
Bonda.
Anthony Bonda's for sure in that mix.
Yep.
Trinan, Bonda.
Dreyer.
Yeah, what was Dreyer's pitch count?
Dreyer went in third of an inning. Dreyer only threw 5 pitches.
Yeah. And I want to say there was one more guy who was who seemed doable.
Kershaw threw a 1 batter, so but I mean, you could probably ask, let me be honest, brother. I think you could go and ask Robleski to go back out there and he would do it for you. I feel like he was humming. It didn't feel like he had any it's stress. Yeah, it's stressful pitches. And I think he's one. He threw 28, but it's just like he didn't have any stressful stuff out there. That's what I'm talking about. Everybody wants to look at that and the up down there, but it's stress pitches. And that's what the front of these guys chart. They look at stressful pitches. Pitch count doesn't tell the whole thing.
I'm with you. And I think you're looking at 4 guys that can cover you for 9 outs if Shohei gives you 6. And Kershaw is a break glass in case of serious emergency. I don't think they go to him the rest of the series if they can help it.
Yes.
But I think with those 4 guys, you should have enough. And giving everybody else a day of rest is going to be huge, especially with Blake Snell, who's another guy who could potentially go deep in Game 5.
Yeah, I like these. Everybody's fired up. You guys are funny. Confidence with the bullpen, I feel, and somebody says Roki's velo's down. I mean, he's go ahead.
It went down as he went. I noticed that too, but he did start at 99, 100. He was there. So it might have just been a matter of stress of the situation and him tiring a little bit. So not too worried about that because we did see the high velocity when he first started the outing.
Yeah, Dodgers Muse asked this one earlier on. I started. He says, "Does Yoshinobu Yamamoto warming up affect his outing for Game 6 if necessary?" I don't think it does. He went out there and just was lightly tossing. He was getting himself ready to go, but I think that's just like standard stuff. Adrenaline takes over, and he's all right there. He tried to have a bulldog moment, and Blake Snell even came out and said that he was willing to do it. But they shook him off pretty quickly. They sat him down. They said, "Sit your ass on a bench. We got a big fella."
Yeah. If anybody was wondering, like, how come Snell's not asking to go out there? We got the report late last night that he actually did. And he was early in going to Dave and saying, "Send me to the bullpen. I'm ready." And they said absolutely not.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, that's the stuff you want to hear. Those are the storylines that get kind of brushed. And it's just, we talked about this leading up to the postseason, guys. This is the opposite of the bullpen. The bullpen had all the pressure in the world last year to gather themselves together and perform and carry that load. And the starting pitchers, how many times do we say that they're on this type of run where they're just feeding off each other? And it's a thing to see where this is a team. Again, I'll echo the stuff about Alex Vesia. These guys are a squad. They've battled all year long. This is the camaraderie of a Major League Baseball team, a gathering of men. And that they're all in this for each other here. And Dave Roberts asked his team for, what is it, like 28 days or, 4 weeks, 4 weeks, something like that, 4 or 5 weeks. And these guys are all in it. They want this bad. And they want to go prove everybody.
For sure. This culture cultivates that also. Like if you're a guy who like maybe has had it sometimes, but not on every team or not in every situation, just different teams are, they're different. Every clubhouse is different. Those guys get here, and this is not to say that like Blake Snell would not have done this if he was in the World Series with the Rays, but like going to Dave early in that outing or early in that extra inning game when you know like things are going to get long, and saying that when you're pitching Game 5, like that's dog mentality that this clubhouse has cultivated. And part of the reason I think he got shut down and Yamamoto was like, "Oh, this is interesting. Okay, we have this for you now. Like, you can go ahead and go warm up," is because where the series stands, Snell is guaranteed. His game is guaranteed, the game he's supposed to start.
Mm-hmm.
If they play this right, Yamamoto might not pitch again in this series. So I think that had something to do with it too.
Agreed. Yeah. I mean, yes, that's everything. That's if necessary start there. Just go out and it's just, if he can give you whatever, if it's just, a throw day and that's what he's doing, lines up with the throw day. Yeah, man. I mean, that's how I see it. It's just this collection of arms that are willing and able to do whatever it takes to make things happen here. I'm just, again, chat, just so we're clear, I am looking at bullpen usage. I am looking at that Blake Trinan stuff. I did not enjoy it. I was not very happy with his execution there. A lot of that damage could have been avoided. So I'm going to be keeping an eye out for it. I would hope Dave Roberts in that type of scenario there, just if somebody's cooking on the mound there and they're not getting good swings against, stick with the arm. The Dodgers aren't really in a spot here to play matchup baseball. Blake Trinan's not a guy you can just pencil in against a righty and say, this is a plus matchup there. I know it's just righty. He's just not in a place right now. He's not, I think, Anthony, go ahead, bro, on this, because you texted saying, he's just not able to get anybody out.
Yeah. Like I mean, it's so hard to trust it right now.
He can't put it away. He can't find that out pitch.
Right. And even like if something looks good for a little while, like it fades away so fast right now for him. And it's even in the outings that he gets through, he's walking a tightrope every time. And it's just in these kinds of situations, you just can't trust it. You can't trust it when games are on the line like that. And when he's a guy that had been counted on to get those kinds of outs, he ends up putting the team in untenable positions sometimes, because it's like the other thing is like he's not getting through clean innings or like when he comes in for a clean inning, he's not getting through that either. He had to get one out, I think it was this last time, and
Yeah, it was 2 outs, all with 2 outs here.
Yeah.
And I'll toss in right here. GI says this, and this lines up exactly where it's at. He says Trinan's afraid to throw inside anymore. And it's 100% true, because you look at this, you get 2 outs here. Blake Trinan comes in for Justin Robleski, who just got 2 outs. He get on with 2 outs. He goes first pitch, cutter misses up, sweeper on a called strike right in the heart of the dish. And then he goes 91 mile an hour cutter away. All right, nothing inside. I get it. You don't want to let him turn and burn there. Single up the middle. Bo Bichette comes in here and has a 7-pitch AB. Sweeper down away. He paints those again, and then he goes four-seam fastball, and I guarantee you he misses the outer half. And he just puts a four-seam fastball middle away, and Bo Bichette just bangs it, smokes it, 105 to right field. Not one thing on two of those righties is inner half. So you're able to just cut that off there and able to shoot everything to right field, center field, and just because he hasn't shown you one thing inside, so you don't have to respect it. Until he beats you there, you don't even have to think about it. Your sights can be, let's cut the plate and just shift everything that way. And I think that's way too much with him against righties, and that just suddenly becomes not a platoon advantage at all. You've got to be able to just force these, as a reliever. That's just not how it goes. And that's the same pitfall Tanner Scott fell victim to. Hitters could just cut off half of the plate and just spit on everything else. So we're seeing a spot where Blake Trinan's stuff just is not competitive in terms of, righty stuff there. You have to be able to establish the inner half against the Blue Jays, especially their right-handed guys. They're all like right-handed boppers, Kirk, Bo Bichette, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. You have to be able to establish the inner half because they will beat you anything middle away. It's just flat how it goes. So GI, thank you for that one there. And Anthony, I know you agree with that because all you have to do is a simple look at the heat maps and what they're doing there. It's just really easy to, game plan against Blake Trinan right now.
It's what all hitters hope to be able to do against all pitchers is eliminate part of the plate. And when you're giving it to them, you're playing into their hands.
Yeah. Even against Dalton Varsho there, a little excuse me base knock there. That stuff that all could have been different. Max Muncy almost making that play. So it's just stuff where you just get away with some things. It's just too predictable from him. Just way too predictable from him. And so Blake Trinan, I know Dave Roberts will keep going to the well with it. And I know that for a damn fact. That's just how it is. It's where they're at, and Dave Roberts sees it. But they've got to be able to establish the inner half, even if you're afraid to do it. You have to be able to do it. If you're afraid to do it, just put somebody in who's able to just pitch to all quadrants of the strike zone and not be afraid of that. You have time for a couple questions because I'm gonna do a few and then let everybody get out of here.
Sure, let's do it.
Let's do it. So let's go questions. Everybody, all caps question. Anthony, I'll take a few here. Kenny said this earlier on the show. He says, I gave my students a homework-free night today. Kenny,
you're the man, Kenny.
You're the man, Kenny.
You're the man.
That was great stuff there. Let's see. Yeah, and GI commented this earlier on. We were having a conversation about Shohei Ohtani offensively. He said they're probably not going inside because the Southpaws don't have the velo to pitch inside. And I agree with that for sure. Last night you see that, Flew Hardy, and then who's the second one? Little. It's just that's somebody you're going to see very little outings of against him. It's going to be Flew Hardy's the big type of guy there, but it's just attacking him from a right hand sense, and they're just having a really tough time with it.
He's also changed his approach, and that's the biggest key. It's like, yes, those lefties aren't as good as the lefties the Phillies had, sure. But also against the Phillies, he was flying open. That front foot was coming out. Like I said last night, he took that pitch, even though it wasn't inside, and he kept that front shoulder in, and then he just drove it. When your approach is like that, it really doesn't matter what the pitch inside looks like because you're going to be able to handle it. And so I think more than the velocity, it's him just changing the approach, and he's punishing anything that's on the inside part.
Yeah. Scooter Brewer asks this. With the guys they have left, Trinan terrifies me, rightfully so. And almost everyone that are left are lefties, which concerns me for the Blue Jays because they torch them. We just kind of broke that down a little bit. And I think last night, the blueprint for it, it's just, you've got to go with your best stuff there. Splits aside. That's how it is. Bonda would be the one that I'd be a little bit apprehensive to put against a string of righties if they're in there. Dreyer is somebody that I'd be more comfortable just because his splits during the regular season were much better. It's he had pretty even splits against righties, lefties. So I'd be comfortable with that. Bond is the one that's very loopy, sweep, like that it would, goes right into barrel path of righties. So that's someone, if you're able to do it, Dave, stay away from it. And I know Schneider's going to have some decisions to make here. And there's a question about George Springer I'm going to put up in a second. But the rest of the guys out there, that's why I'd call for if Justin Robleski's feeling good, that's someone I want in the game, man. I think he can give it to you. And this is just like Will Klein. Your contribution today is to give me as much as you can today. And we'll take it the rest of the way because the bullpen's going to be at strength, safe for game 4, or for game 5 and beyond, if it takes that long. So if Robleski's contribution today, again, like we've seen other arms do around the league, is to give me another inning and 2/3, then so be it, because he looked like one of the most confident guys out there pitching downhill from the left-hand side. Fastball looked in a good spot. I think that's how they got to play it, and they can't be too cautious today.
And I think they're also looking at a situation where like maybe a guy like Dreyer can give you more than 3 outs today.
Yes. Yeah, they've got to go with some of them batter to batter. It's how they handle the up down and go from there. JY, real fast, he says, any comments about Glass now? If he could have held on one more inning, it would have helped a lot, right? I mean, that I'll wear this one. The Tommy Edman double play would have changed everything. That would have changed absolutely everything. That changed the entire game. That changed the entire ball game. If that doesn't happen,
the Blue Jays might not score last night
at all.
That error doesn't happen.
It was a routine. It was a degree of difficulty where it's just don't take your eye off the baseball and you make that play. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. going into second. He's not fast. He's quick. He knows how to run the bases, but you glove that, turn and fire, and you get a double play because Bo Bichette's running to first. You had all the time in the world to make that toss to first base. So it's just that's JY. That's Tyler Glass now gets through that, and he's able to go out there and continue pitching.
Of all the mistakes in that game on both sides, because they both had a bunch of them, it wasn't even close. That was the biggest one. Aside from if you want to count that middle pitch to Freddie's a mistake, the physical mistakes in the field or on the bases, that kind of stuff. That was the biggest one.
100%. Yeah, JY, that's the one where you say my God, how in the world? Yeah, he's able to go out there and give you, much more. So it's just when that error happened, it's one of those, you feel it. You're like, this is where you provided them with an opportunity now. And then you go out there and, you hang a curve and, that's it. Kirk was ready for something hard at the plate here. Aaron wants to know confidence level the Dodgers finish it at home. I'm going to go true to the numbers here. Sarah Lang's put that out about, teams that in this current 2-2-1 format, she said, they put that stat up that teams that win game 3, after splitting on the road, you come back home, win game 3 in the current 2-2-1, or excuse me, the 2-3-2 format. They win 60% of the time. So I'm going to say it about that. It's about I'm not going to say the meme, but we'll do it. It's about a 6-7. There you go, guys. There you go. It's right where it's at, but that's the confidence level. It's where it's at. I feel good about the pitching matchup, so I'm going to say 7, but it's definitely falls on that because the Blue Jays, we have another question about the pitch usage there, or the pitcher usage from the Blue Jays, that the Dodgers have the plus matchup here. And then you look ahead towards even tomorrow, you get Blake Snell at home.
Yeah. I'm at a 6 right now with this, only because of the game last night, and I don't know how it's going to impact guys, having to come back and play again. If the Dodgers can win this game, though, it shoots up to a 9.
Yeah, 100%.
I think Blake Snell shuts them down. If that game is a closeout game, I think Blake Snell delivers.
Yeah. I agree. He smells blood in the water, and that's, at home, he's not going to have 2 clunkers in a row. You go out there and just hand it over to Blake Snell. He wanted to get on the mound last night, so he's going to come downhill, establish that fastball in half, and hopefully an umpire is going to have his eyes open and give him the top part of the zone there and not give him the Toronto, Canada treatment. Let's see. Miguel wants to know, any update on Springer's injury? It'll be a big blow to the Blue Jays. I know he was headed out for an MRI. I haven't seen anything. Anthony, have you seen anything this morning about it?
I haven't seen anything. And even if that were in the season, even if that weren't if he dodged big injury, he's not playing the next day still. Yeah. And so I would be stunned if he's in the lineup today.
Yes, I agree. I would be very stunned if he's in the lineup there. So it's a lineup blow. You saw how when Schneider made those swaps out, you're going to see the platoon lefties in there. You're going to see Lucas. You're going to see Barger in there. Jimenez is always going to be in there. Dave Roberts, please don't intentionally walk Andres Jimenez. Please don't do that anymore. I can't handle that. That's one of those guys in a lineup where you just deal with it and you just pitch to him and go from there. I don't want to deal with that. That's not a bad, like if it gives you an out somewhere, bases loaded, whatever, just don't do that. That's just not one of those hitters where you just concede a base runner to it. Yeah, you're going to see a pretty straightforward lineup with them, but not having George Springer at the top, especially with how exceptional he's been against four-seam fastballs this year. That's someone that they're going to feel the loss of him. So Miguel, no update on him yet. We're going to keep refreshing our feed if something breaks now. If the lineup comes out, we're 4 hours to game time essentially here, and I haven't seen anything as far as lineups. They'll probably do that in the next hour or two, and then go from there. A couple more here from you guys. Let's see. Casey says, who's going to be the MVP of tonight's game?
Shohei.
Shohei. Yeah, I mean, all things included, Shohei Ohtani. I can stay right there. I could be with that too. To be boring, I could say Shohei and just have that there and just give somebody. I said Freddie yesterday, guys. You heard me on there. I liked what Freddie did in game 2 with his swings, but it came over a game after that, so that doesn't count. But it's got to be. I need Mookie to be the MVP today. If they're going to pitch around Shohei, Mookie's got to have a swing. So whether he's the MVP or he has a swing that moves the needle, it needs to be Mookie Betts. You can't keep having a dud from him. He's got to have one of those opportunities where runners are out there. You can't keep coming up blanks. You got to go out there. I love the reporter's questions there. It's like, Mookie Betts, when you get into bed in the night, are you going to be thinking about Shohei? And he's like, what are you talking about, man? I thought that was
a dumb question.
I thought that was classic. Like, who are you going to be thinking about tonight? Freddie Freeman, Shohei Ohtani? Nope, not a
Mookie
chance.
Went home, smoked good, and fell asleep.
Facts. Yes, he did. Cool. All right, everybody. Thank you. Barring any last minute Hail Mary, Steph Curry super chats here, I think I'm going to let you all get out of here. Everybody say thank you to Anthony Witrado. I appreciate you a bunch. As good as it gets. Thank you for the coverage last night. We're burning the midnight oil, bringing as much as we can to everybody to the chat, to, watching after the fact. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Music, however you consume, your podcast, rate, subscribe, all the things for us. If you're tuning in for the first time, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Thank you for tuning in to DodgerHeads Unplugged. That is Anthony Witrado, an absolute dynamo, an incredible contributor for us here. He is as good as it gets. You can find all of his work. Head over to his Twitter there. His handle is on the page. My name is Scott Geirman. Thanks for tuning in to DodgerHeads Unplugged. We'll see you next time. And until I can't say it anymore, enjoy Game 4. Go Dodgers.